Hello everyone and welcome to another tutorial. So I recently made this cute little sky dancer animation in Blender. I made it in Blender 2.8 free and I'm going to be showing you how I made it. So I'm going to be going through the whole process all the way from the beginning of the modeling to the animation, the physics simulation for the cloth and the final render. Now I'm not going to be doing all the little details I did with this original one, so I'll quickly show you the one we're doing today. But pretty much the same overall. So this is the one we'll be making today. It's just this really cool little scene, and yeah, it's something you can add to your motion graphics workflow. And also I'll be making this blend file available on my Patreon, so you guys can check that out in the description below. It's also a great way to support the channel, so a really fun one here for you guys. Let's get right into it. Go ahead, open up a new scene in Blender. We're going to select all of the default objects. We're going to go X and delete. Then we're going to go Shift A, we're going to go to our mesh options, and we're going to add in a cylinder. We're going to come down to the cylinder settings, and we're going to make the count here 12, and we're going to hit enter. Once we've done that, we're going to, with this guy still selected, we're going to go S, Z, and we're going to type in 10, and hit enter. So we scaled it at 10 times on the Z. We're going to tab into edit mode, we're going to go G, Z, and move all of this geometry up, holding in Control or Command, just to snap it to the grid. So we're going to snap it right here to the floor, and you can see the little origin point, the little orange dot there is in the bottom there, which is exactly what we want. Then we're going to come to our edge select. First of all, actually just tab out of edit mode, go Control A and just apply the scale, and then tab back into edit mode. Then we're going to go to face select this face over here, and we're going to go Control B, and we're going to create a bevel. Roll your mouse 2 times just to add in those extra geometry there. So we're just going to go with something like this. Select this face here, go X and delete the face. Go to your edge select, hold in Shift and Alt, click on here to select the face, and we're going to go Control F, and we're going to go grid fill, and we're going to just mess around with this offset just till things are lined up properly. So just go to your top view if it helps, and let's just see what we can do here. Okay, just something like that will be fine, and then let's let go of that. And let's roll in some more geometry. So what we're going to do is hovering over here, we're going to go Control R. You can see a little yellow line appearing, and we're just going to roll our mouse wheel just to add in some more geometry. So nothing too crazy, just something like this. As long as these look roughly like squares, it'll be fine. Then we're going to go into our front view, go into wireframe, go to our face select. We're just going to select half of these faces. We're going to go X and delete those faces. Then we're going to go to our modifiers tab. We're going to get a mirror modifier, and we're going to give this guy a clipping over here as well. And now if we make the arms, it's going to be a bit easier because it's mirrored. So let's hit our free key, so our number 3 on our number pad. That's going to take us to the right orthographic view, and we're going to come down to about here and just select these faces right there like that. Then we're going to go Alt S or Shift Alt S, and we're just going to round this out a little bit. Then we're going to go E to extrude and S to scale, and then we're going to go Alt Shift and S together at the same time just to round it out a bit more. We're going to go G and then go X and just move this out a bit, just like that. We're going to go X and delete those faces. Then we go to an edge select, go Shift Alt, click on here to select this edge, go to your front orthographic view and go SX0 and hit enter. Then go G, X, and just bring this out a bit. So we just created this nice round hole here. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go E to extrude it, and we're going to go R, and we're going to rotate it like this and go and just bring this guy up like this. Grab this loop here and just rotate it a bit as well. And this is a bit of a tricky part, but once we're done with this, it'll get easier. So just rotate this guy a bit. And once you have it roughly at a 45 angle, we're going to go E to extrude it out to here. And then click, and now if you go Shift and R and you keep clicking it, it's going to repeat that action. And we're just going to make these go out to about here. So now we have our nice arms here. And with that done, we're just going to go to our, with these edges here selected, we're just going to go and right click, and we're going to go subdivide. Then we're going to click on our vertice tab here. You can see we have these extra vertices here. So just go back to edge select. Then what we're going to do is we're going to hit F3. We're going to type in checker. And we're going to click on checker deselect, and it's going to select every second edge here. Go to your front orthographic view and then go E to extrude this out, and then go Shift R to repeat that action a few times just to create these fingers or ribbons if you want to call them that. And then just S to scale them a little bit. So here we have the beginnings of this guy. Very simple. We're going to tab out of edit mode. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to object and go add a subdivision surface modifier. And just also go to object, shade smooth. So subdivision surface modifier on this guy and smooth it out. So let's, oh yeah, also at the bottom here, just tab into edit mode, go to face select and make sure just to get rid of this face at the bottom. So we don't want this face at the bottom, just delete that. Okay, now we are ready to get into the next step. So we're going to go Shift A, we're going to go to our mesh options, we're going to add in a plane. And with this plane selected, we're going to go and hit S and we're going to type in 30 and we're going to hit enter. Then we're going to tab into edit mode. We're going to make sure we go to edge select. We're going to hover our mouse cursor over here. We're going to go Control R. You see a little yellow line appearing and you're going to roll your middle mouse wheel a few times just to add in some loop cuts. Click in about this many. You can go into wireframe if it helps. And then we're going to go Control B one more time and just roll down your middle mouse wheel. We don't want all that extra geometry, so just like this. And then we're going to go E to extrude it and then Z to take it down. I'm going to go like that. Then what we're going to do is go to vertices select. We're going to hit C to get our C select tool. And we're just going to select all of these vertices along the edge here. And we're going to go X and delete faces. And we're going to do the same thing this side. Just select all of these guys here and then go X and delete faces. So we shouldn't see any of these faces here. So now if we tab out of edit mode, we're going to go Control A and apply to scale. We're also going to go to add modifier. We're going to add in a bevel. And if you just zoom in here, you can see this is what we see. So we can also decrease the offset here if you want. Make the limit method angle. And we can also increase the segment count here. Go to object and enable shade smooth. So now we have this nice soft bevels here. I'm going to come over here at my viewport. I'm going to go Shift A. We're going to add in a camera. With that camera selected, we're going to hit 0 to go into camera view. Then hit G on your keyboard and press your middle mouse button and just pull back. I'm going to zoom out to about here. G to move your camera around in the viewport. And then go to your camera settings. We're going to make the type an orthographic camera. We're going to go to our output settings and under the Y resolution, we're going to make that 1920. And we're also going to make the percentage here just 70 for now. And then what we can do is go back to our camera down here and we can use this orthographic scale to zoom in and out. So I'm going to go to about here. Might be a little bit different depending on where you place your camera, but just get a view on your camera that looks roughly like this for now. And then what we're going to do is we're going to just add in a few more items into our scene. So we're going to go Shift A. We're going to go to our mesh options. We're going to add in a cylinder. And we're going to come here to the vertice count. We're going to make it 32 again. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go S just to scale this up a bit like this. S, Z, scale it down. Then we're going to select the floor here. We're going to go and give this guy another modifier. It's going to be a Boolean. Click on a little eyedropper and select this guy over here. And then with this cylinder selected, we're going to go M to move it. We're going to move it to a new collection. And let's just call it cutter. And go OK. And let's just come up here to our scene collections and just hide it. Now we're going to go Shift A, go to our mesh options, add in a cylinder. We're going to go S to scale it up to here. And then S, Z, and scale it down into Z. Tab into edit mode, go to face select. Select this face over here, go E to extrude and S to scale. And then go E, Z, and extrude it down. And X to delete that face. And also grab this face here and go X delete. Then go to edge select, select this edge here. Bring it down a bit. I'm going to select both of these edges here and just go G, Z, and just bring them down. So all we have here is this whole empty cylinder. We're going to go to Control A, apply to scale. Go to your modifiers, give it a bevel modifier, make the limit method angle, and also just bring this offset down a bit and increase the segment count. And give that guy subdivision surface modifier, go to object and enable shade smooth. Now we're going to go Shift A, we're going to go to our mesh options and add in another cylinder. This time we're going to also give it a bevel and just give it the limit method angle, decrease this offset amount and bump this segment value up, and then go to object, enable shade smooth. Then we're going to go S to scale it down. We can also grab this guy for now and just hit H to hide it. Let's just mess around with this guy. So we're going to just grab it and scale it down to about here. We're going to go S, Z, and scale it down onto Z. Then we're going to go to our top orthographic view. We're going to go Shift A, go to our mesh options, add in a plane, tab into edit mode, go G, X, and move it over to the side in edit mode, and then S to scale it down. And we want it roughly here, so this is going to be a blade. Go to edge select, just select this edge here, go G, X, just move it out to here. Then we're gonna hit A to select all of this geometry, and we can go R, X, and rotate it on the X a little bit, just like that. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go give this guy a solidify modifier, and then give it some thickness here. And then what we're gonna do on top of this, we're gonna add an array modifier. But what we need to do is we need to select, click on the little eyedropper here and select this guy over here, this cylinder. And we also want to come back to this guy, and we want to give under the relative offset, we want to make this value here 0. And we want to increase the count a little bit. Then select the cylinder and go RX and just rotate it a little bit. It's not working, so just quickly grab this guy. Just make sure to enable object offset as well under the array modifier. Now if we rotate this guy a little bit, okay, we also need to just apply the scale. So just rotate it a little bit on the Z and then go Control A and apply the scale. Okay, now if we rotate it, you can see it's working. So we just want to rotate it on the Z a little bit like that. And then we want to come here and just increase the count till it fills all of this in. It doesn't have to be exactly like I'm doing it. You can just toy around with it till it works. So grab this guy in the middle and just rotate it along the Z just till you get these fan blades. Once you're happy with it, you can go and apply the solidify modifier, then apply the array. And with this selected, we're going to hold in Shift and select this guy over here. We're going to go Control P, and we're going to go Object Keep Transform. So now if we grab this guy and we go G to move it, these guys move along, which is what we want. Okay, so that was a little bit tricky, but it's out of the way. So go Alt H to unhide this guy over here. And then we're going to go G, Z, and just move it up in our world a little bit to here. Then we're going to go Shift A, go to our mesh options, add in a cylinder or a torus. We're going to go G, Z, and just bring it up to the bottom here. Tab into edit mode, and then go Alt S and just shrink it a little bit like this with Alt S. So right about there, so we have this ring at the bottom. Go to Object and enable Shade Smooth. And then we're going to go Shift A, just add in quickly a cylinder again. Go to your front orthographic view, go into wireframe. Then go R90 and hit enter, and then go S just to scale this way down, G, and just move it up here and scale it down a bit. So this guy is just going to be the rod that holds it. Tab into edit mode, go to face select, select this face, go G, X, and just move it out to here. And you can just also scale it down a bit if you want. So just something like that. Go to Object and enable Shade Smooth on that as well. Okay, so I know it's been a little bit of work, but we're getting there. So now we have this guy over here, we have the fan, and we have, I think we have pretty much everything we need to have in the scene. So the next part is going to be getting into our physics and our animation, really simple stuff. Okay, so first of all, select this guy over here, and then we're going to go to our modifiers tab. Just apply the mirror modifier once you're happy with the modeling, so you should be at this point. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to our physics tab here. We're going to add in a cloth simulation, and then we're going to come down here to the stiffness setting. So what we want to do is we want to make the tension over here 22, and we also want to make the compression a value of 1, and we want to make the bending here a value of 2. And then what we want to do is come down to the tension under the dampening, and we just want to make this 22 as well over here. And we're going to make the compression 1 as well, and we want to make the bending 2. Then we want to come down here to the shape, and we'll get to that in a second. Actually, just come to the collision first, and we want to make the quality steps here 12. We also want to come here to the self collision and just enable that. And we don't need to mess around with any of these settings. But with this shape over here, we want to pin the bottom vertices. So when we add a force fill, it doesn't just fly off. It needs to be pinned to the ground. Very simple. We're just going to tab into edit mode. Go to vertices select, and what we're going to do is just Shift Alt and select these bottom vertices here. Go to your object data properties, just go to your vertex group, hit the little plus, and then just go assign, and we're going to assign those vertices. Tab out of edit mode. Go back to your physics tab, and now you can go to this shape value over here under the cloth settings, and we're going to go to pin group, and we're going to just get that group there. So now the bottom vertice there is pinned. What we also want to do is if this guy is going to be falling over onto the ground, so you're going to make a really weak kind of wind and you're planning to do it that way deliberately, you do want to add a collision to some of these objects around here. But for now, I'm not going to add a collision to anything if we don't need it. So if we actually hit the spacebar now and we play this animation, we're going to see this guy kind of folding in on itself like this, which means the cloth is working, but we want to add a effect. So what we're going to do is just go back to frame 1. We're going to go Shift A. We're going to go to our force fields here. We're going to add in a wind. And you can see this is the wind right here. So we're going to go G, Z, just bring it up into this column. So it's sitting here in the bottom. And then we're going to come to just the settings here. So over here in the strength, we're going to make the strength 700. I'm going to hit enter. And let's just quickly go into our camera view. Make sure we're on frame 1. And let's just quickly hit spacebar and let's just play this simulation and see what it looks like. Again, it is going to be a little bit slow, so don't be too alarmed about that. So yeah, it seems to be working. We've got the wind here. And I'm going to show you how we can animate that a little bit as well to make it look quite cool. But it seems to be working, but it might be a little bit weak. So what we can do is just with this force field selected, let's make the strength 1200. And so let's just see how that works. So go back to frame 1 and then hit the spacebar. Okay, that seems to be a little bit better. So you guys can mess around with that till you get something you like. I'm just going to leave it at this. And then what we're going to do as well is we're just going to select this guy. And for now, just, oh yeah, so here's the mistake I made, okay? We don't want the subdivision surface modifier above the cloth. So just make sure you put it underneath the cloth. So we have the cloth modifier up in the modifier stack and the subdivision surface below. So now let's go back to frame 1 and let's play it. Okay, that's a lot better. So I thought something wasn't looking right here. Okay, that might be a little bit too strong. So just select the wind again. And it's one of those things that's a little bit finicky sometimes. So just select that force field wherever it is. This guy. And what we're going to do is go over here to the settings and just make it 700 again. And let's just give that a shot because we don't want it to be too much. Okay, so that seems to be okay. What we can do is in frame 1 with this force field here selected, we can actually just go I to insert a keyframe and give it a rotation key on frame 1. Then we're going to move up to frame 20 and just go R, rotate off to the side a little bit, go I, insert a rotation key. Then just select both of these keyframes, go Shift D and just drag them along the timeline and just place them in intervals like this. Be as random as you want. It doesn't really matter. It's just going to make it wobble from side to side a little bit. So you can see here, that just makes it look a little bit more realistic. So that's kind of what we're looking for here. And all I did here was just I went Shift D and I just duplicated these guys. And you can be as random as you want. Just give it these little rotations and see what happens. Okay, that is looking a lot better. So I suppose what we can do now is just quickly, we can come back to this, but let's just quickly animate the fan blade here. So let's just go to frame 1. And we're going to select this fan blade here, but we're going to select this guy here that everything is parented to. And on frame 1, we're going to go I, and we're going to insert a rotation key. And then we're going to come to frame 250. We're going to hit N to open up the properties panel. We're going to go to item. And then we're going to come here to the Z value. We're going to make it 1200 and we're going to hit enter. And then hovering over here, we're going to hit I and that's going to insert a keyframe. We want to come down here, select both of these keyframes. We're going to hit T and we're going to make it the interpolation linear. So now if we play it, we're going to see this fan down here is turning and it's looking quite nice. Okay. So for some reason that's doing something funky here to this cloth. It must be a bug, so I'm just going to quickly see if we can solve it. Maybe try, if you get that issue, try maybe moving this guy up a little bit. Okay, that seems to fix the issue for me. Just moving the force field up here. I don't know if it's a bug in Blender, but sometimes you get these issues. So if you get that, just move this up a little bit. So that's looking quite good. I might just come and grab this guy here and just increase the tension to 30 and just see if that makes things look a little bit better. Like I did actually practice this tutorial, but it's always a little bit different when you're working with physics. So it's not quite the same as my first one for some reason, but it's roughly there. And I think it looks quite good. So yeah, so once you're happy with the way it looks, you can spend as much time as you want with these settings, by the way. Once you're happy, we can cache this out to save us some time. In fact, that's what I'm actually going to do. So select this guy here, go to your cloth settings, and first of all, just save this. I'm going to make sure to save it. I'm just going to call mine free, because that's what I'm going to call it. And then what I'm going to do is we're going to come to our cloth settings here. Just make sure you go into the cloth settings. We're going to come down here, do something called cache. And because we're working with 250 frames, we're just going to leave these as they are by default. And we're going to hit bake. And it's now going to bake this simulation into our blend file. So once this bake is done, we're going to go ahead and just make sure to save it again. And then we're going to get into our lighting and our materials. Okay, so the bake's done. So just go file and just make sure to save it one more time. And here we have it. So it's now done. And yeah, it's looking awesome. This funny kind of vibration going on here. I didn't get that to my original one, but if you guys mess around with some of the settings, I'm sure you'll get it looking the way you want. But yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that for now. So what we're going to do is we're going to go Shift A for now. Go to our light options, add in an area light. We're going to go G, Z, bring this light up into our scene here. And we're going to come to our light settings, and it's quite tiny, but we're just going to come to the size and just scale it up to about 15 meters. And we're going to increase the power to 3000 and hit enter. Then we're going to go to our right orthographic view. We can go Shift D, duplicate the sky, move it over here, and then go R and rotate it forward. Go into your camera view, go Z, go rendered, and see what you get. Okay, it's still quite underpowered, so I might bump it up to 5000. So yeah, just go ahead and set the power value for both of these lights to 5000. And once we've done that, we can add in some materials. So I'm not going to add the little face like I did with my original one here, but we're just going to add some basic materials. So I'm going to hit the little materials tab here. We're going to go new. And we can just, with this first material, make it a nice yellow. So we're going to go something like this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to tab into edit mode. We're going to go to our face select, go into your front orthographic view. And what we're going to do is go Shift and Alt, select this loop here and this loop here. And do the same thing on the other side, just like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to hit the plus, go new and assign. And this material, we're going to make a nice dark purple, like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to select the floor and we're going to go new. And we're going to make this guy a purple as well, since that is the color scheme we're going with here. Maybe like a dark purple. Bring this roughness value down a bit and maybe increase the metallic. Okay, I don't think I'm going to increase the metallic, just bringing the roughness down a little bit, but not too much. And then we're going to select this guy over here. I'm going to go new. So this is the fan case, and we're going to make this one kind of like a reddish orangey pink and bring the roughness down on that guy a little bit as well. And then we're going to select this fan blades here, go new. And these guys, we're going to give a bit of a pinkish, kind of peachy color and bring the roughness down on that. And then select this guy over here. And for now, just go new and let's just give this a metallic value here on the slider and bring that roughness down. And we want to give this guy that same material. So let's go have a look at that. Okay, so that's looking okay for now. So let's just play that. Okay, that's looking pretty good. This is kind of like the lighting and materials I went with. You guys can spend as much time. I kept mine really basic for the sake of the tutorial, but yeah, this is it pretty much. Mess around with the cloth a little bit if you want and rebake it and see what results you get. But this is what I'm going to leave it at. And if you want to render this out, just click on the output settings here. Go to your output tab, click on this folder, go to the desktop or wherever. Make the file format something you like FFmpeg video. And then go to your encoding and make it the container an MP4 and then you can just go to render and you can render out this animation. So I'm not going to do that because I already rendered out my original one, but I hope you guys have enjoyed this little tutorial. If you did, please subscribe, check me out on Instagram and Patreon, and I put all of these little blend files, most of them that I do, I put on my Patreon, and also make exclusive tutorials. So if you guys want to learn some more motion graphic stuff, you can definitely check me out on Patreon, and it also helps support the channel. Stay safe, and yeah.